Thanks, Brent. Tell me, how do you measure EI in general?
Well, we use an instrument called the Baron EQI, and it's the most widely used emotional intelligence instrument on the planet. It's a real simple 133 question evaluation. It takes about 20 minutes, and it measures 15 different emotional competencies. And from those different competencies, we can tell a lot about behavior, performance, and the way people interact with other people.
Tell me about the type of people that you see, the typical profile that you see in construction folks.
Well, it's really scary how consistent it is. Every group I've ever worked with is at exactly the same profile, and that is high self-regard, lots of confidence, high assertiveness, which we all know to be true, high independence, that cowboy sort of mentality, but also relatively low emotional self-awareness, that they have a lack of understanding of self, low empathy skills, lack of understanding of others, low social responsibility, which means they don't work well in groups or teams, low interpersonal relationships, which we all know to be true. The other thing is it's usually high stress tolerance, low impulse control, which is a bit of a chaos reactive management profile. They also tend to have lower flexibility with higher problem solving and reality testing, which is a control profile. Being in control and maintaining that control and micromanaging and not delegating and those kinds of things. You know, the other thing that's real typical, low happiness. And I think that speaks volumes about the industry today. You know, I think people, how many times have you heard, well, it's just not as fun as it used to be, you know?
And briefly, what happens during the class and how are they different afterwards?
Well, first of all, we can't create changes in emotional behavior in a day. So these classes are a year long. So we have lots of coaching and follow-up, and we do lots of daily application and daily reflection, and it really takes that to create true behavioral change, right? And before you have that typical profile, afterwards, normally we get really great results with these things like, first of all, self-awareness, which is the foundation for this, and then these interpersonal skills. And the changes are just amazing. But not only are they better managers and they manage projects better, but they're better husbands and they're better fathers because of this work, because of these emotional skills that they've developed.
Okay, on the business side, how does this contribute to a bottom line and profitability?
Well, I'll give you an example. There was an alpha male in our class, total alpha male, which is all those things I described times exponential, really high assertiveness and self-regard, really low interpersonal skills. And the first class, he sat there like this. And he basically wasn't developing his plan. And I said, "You're not developing your plan?" And he said, "No, this is a bunch of crap. I don't think it's for me. I'm a really good superintendent," which he was, no question. But I said, "I'll tell you what, take your results to your spouse and to your bosses and people you trust and ask them if they think this is an issue for you, these things. And if they say, no, it's not a problem, I don't know what they're talking about, then don't worry about it. And you don't even have to come to class. I'll just tell them you were here and we'll do great." And so he comes back a couple of weeks later and he says, "Well, maybe I need to work on some of these things, you know." So, and in typical alpha male fashion, once they get it and they know that they can benefit from this, he bought an iPod and put like a 60 gigabyte iPod and put 30 books on tape on, you know, MP3 on that thing, and started listening to all these books that were in this part of the process that we go through of developing these areas. And about 6 months into the program, I said, "So how are things going?" He says, "I really think I'm improving. I brought my whole project team in on this. They're helping me with my empathy and my self-awareness." And, you know. So I said, "Okay, fine. Ask your bosses to give me an update." I got an email from his two bosses, and one said, "The change in him is nothing short of remarkable." We had always thought of him as a great superintendent, but never one we would put in front of a key client or a key project because he just makes people angry. He condescends to them that don't match his level of commitment. So they said he's now removed from that we've just put him on the biggest retail project we've ever gotten, and we feel confident that he can do the job and not make everybody angry and do a really great job with the relationship end of that whole process. Well, here's a guy that they were holding back and putting on, you know, projects that weren't key projects because of his lack of interpersonal skills. Now they've got another guy to free up on a key project with a key client. Now, I don't have any calculations on bottom line return on investment, but I've got dozens of those kind of anecdotes of people that weren't quite there, but after the course, they said, wow, they can do this. And they put them on key projects, or they went from assistant superintendent to superintendent, or superintendent to a general superintendent. And that creates a lot of value for a company.
And with the financial crisis and the tightening of margins and the scarcity of work in 2009, I would think this is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, a company's got a project and they're going to bid it, but in this market, are they going to shortlist people that are just, random contractors? They're probably going to shortlist people that they have great relationships with, that they built those relationships over maybe a couple of projects. And as anybody knows, business is relationships. It's all about that. I think we've gotten the message a little too late sometimes in this industry. And we don't pay attention to the mechanisms that contribute to those great relationships. Emotional intelligence work will allow people to do a great job with that by working on those emotional competencies that they need to work on, which are those interpersonal skills and self-awareness for most.
Great. Thank you, Brent.
All right.